Okay, today let's talk about this interesting topic here called software. Before we go on with that, let me take a pen out first. Right. Now, this chapter is basically about software, and some people name it programs or apps. And in this chapter, we'll be talking about productivity, software, graphical software, and security software as named in the chapters here. They are the main types that we're going to be taking a look at. Among them, the first thing we have to do is we have to put focus on the categories of software that we see here, categories. Knowing the category of software existing in the world will help us to figure out a situation of what particular case, and then we can fit in with those software to help us work much more effectively and efficiently and achieving our goal in our life situation. And that's why we have to have a look at that category first. Along the way, we also have to get ourselves understand what's meant by operating system, because that's a very important software that would be loaded to hardware first before we install any more program onto it. Okay, and it's now the high time that we spend some time to understand that, so that we know how the software we use daily can mingle with this operating system well. And then we'll also take a look at program apps, different categories. So we have the differentiating part here to tell you more about it. Then we'll delve into the particular type of software that we wish to introduce, as you see in the title of the chapter here, like the productivity applications, like the graphics applications, like the personal interest applications, and communications, and the security software that we see in the world. And among them, and you see that because most computers in the world, basically, they don't stand alone. They would be connecting with one another through a network, sharing ideas and sharing information. Therefore, security tools or software getting more and more important among all software developments that we see in the world right now. And also, we'll also take a look at some kind of software which is very special. We call it system management software, which is basically for the well-being of the hardware that we are operating. First thing first, what software, what apps? That's something that we have to figure out first, and this page gives you a very good introduction about it. Whenever we say the program or software, they are very general. That's why you see as common purpose. It's a general sense here. Anything that instructs the hardware, that's your computer, to work would be called a software or program, and they are basically instructions. Okay, with the instruction of received, computer can perform, can work for us as we want it to be. Okay, so a computer without software is like a person without a soul, will no longer be useful to us anymore. Right, and therefore this program or software is of utmost importance from time to time when we are talking about computer. Now, then what is application? Application or apps, alright, basically is referring to some of the program that help us to do something, the task, help us to solve our daily tasks. For example, I need to write something, I'll be needing a word processor helping us to do it. Or I need to draw something, I'll be needing a paint to help us to kind of draw a picture or paint something up. If I want to calculate something, maybe I need a calculator software or a spreadsheet program helping me. Okay, so all those things is related to our world needs, and we write software or program specifically for it in that time, and we will be calling it application software. Well, the word application or app seems to be the same word here, but when you go outside and have a look in the world, have a look at those kind of what we say application software outside, they basically have some difference, very minor difference, so to speak. When we say application in the world, from time to time, we're referring to some of the software that will install onto your computer, and they are bigger, and they normally install to some of the formal operating system like Windows, Mac OS, things like that. So they are much formal application. They are much more sophisticated or complicated in a sense. But when we say it's an app, more often than not, they would be a lot simplified. All right, take Microsoft Word, for example, or Microsoft Excel, for example. If this is installed into an AMD or Intel PC or installed onto a Macintosh, it will be having more functions, having more delicacy that you can find in it, much more fine-tuned, in other words. However, if it goes to an iPad, all right, or a mobile phone, or an Android pad, those are the things providing there would be simplified a lot or even miss out. And if that particular software, say Microsoft Word or Excel, go into a web version, online version, is even simpler, right? It may be the simplest among them, right? So you see there is actually some complexity, I should say complexity, difference or variations among them. So even though this book treat application and app are two different things here, they are in fact quite different, right, in terms of their ease of use or complexity of use. Right. Now, apart from software that help us to solve our daily task, there are also some software that help us to run the hardware that we are running our computer. Okay, that may be your notebook, that may be your tablet, that may be your iPhone, that may be your PC standing on the desktop like the AMD or Intel PC or Mac OS things, or Mac PC, I mean, something like that. Well, this kind of hardware are rubbish unless we install it with a system, and this would be called an operating system, which is very important because it controls the hardware directly. Windows operating system is one of the classic systems that we see in the world, which is really good and very easy to use, and at least we used to it anyway. And Mac OS is another one, is very popularly used. Android system, all right, iOS system, all right, Linux, Unix, all right, all those are operating systems that actually directing hardware how to function, right? That's why we say coordinates here, coordinates. Without an operating system, the hardware basically cannot load it up, cannot boot up. We cannot use it to do our tasks then. So this is the base system, in other words. Okay, the operating system actually belongs to system software category, and they provide some tools and utility to maintain the well-being of the hardware most of the time. Now, this page is telling you about a different type of software that we see in the world. Some of the software, just like this one here, installed onto your PC or Mac system, will supposedly a much more complicated application helping you to paint something up. This definitely seems like a very simple system, right? That would be an application, an apps, as I say, an apps installed on a mobile phone or Android phone. So you see, it's a lot simpler. And this one definitely looks like what? A web page. So this is another kind of software that we see in the world right now. We call it the software servers, SS here. Right, this kind of things is really easy to use because you keep the data, and also you just turn to a web page, and the web page function like a software. Microsoft Office online version is one of them, really. Now, how about this page here? This page here is telling you about the application and the application software and system software mingling. You as a person here is now using, maybe that's a Microsoft Word, writing up something. And when you are printing something, for example, or saving something down, do you think that Word, Microsoft Word, or the Microsoft Publisher is helping you to save or print out something? No. Application software basically cannot do the things that you want them to. So, how can I print? How can I save something down? Well, it's actually happened that way. Whenever you click the print or save operations in Microsoft Word or in any of your application, the application will talk to the OS here, operating system. That would be a system software. Okay, system software will then arrange, all right, which one of those things that you want would do first, which one would do later, and then these operating system will then talk to the hardware to do the things for you. For example, printing, saving, things like that. All kind of things that we put here with the double arrow is what we meant by interface here. You are now interfacing, so right? So they're interfacing, the word interface here. So there is one interface here, two interface here, and three interface here. Within with one interface happening, this is actually the communication between two different worlds. When you are using the software, is your world mingling with the computer world. When the application is to print something for you, is the application world mingle with the system software world. That would be the operating system in this particular case here in number 2, as you see on the screen here. When the operating system is talking to the hardware, this is another world of talking. So this is another interface. Okay, so a simple maybe saving, printing function that we use daily in our application system actually involve, as you see here, at least 3 interfaces happening here. So it is actually a very complicated process happening inside the computer. Now, as in chapter 1 here, we know there are someone writing programs, and they were the developers. They write the apps, and then we have it. They write the application, and then we have it. Well, sometimes they need to be installed, sometimes they're not. The most common type of application that we see, or apps we see in the world, would be the native one. Native is something that you have to install. It's also platform dependent. Okay. Oh, this Office can only be installed onto the AMD and Intel PC. Oh, that particular software can only be installed on the Mac OS. Oh, this application can only be installed onto a Linux platform, for example. So those will be called native. If you get a wrong platform or system, operating system, you cannot install them from time to time. Okay. Well, there will be also some of the apps here that we see which require installation. That would be mobile web apps. Most of the time, they will need to install also. Okay, the popular mobile system that we use in the world right now is the iOS and the And the Android. So the Android apps cannot be run on the iOS, as you knew it. I think it's quite well known to you. Likewise, you have an iOS apps here. You simply cannot expect you can install that one on mobile web of Android unless they have a release of the Android version there, isn't it? Okay, so that's the mobile app. So compare with the native app and the mobile web here, it's only a matter of complexity. The native app normally is much more complicated and much more well-functioned, fine-tuned, while the mobile app would be much more simplistic, much more simple to use, in other words. Okay, now there come another two, which is most of the time would be easier to use because you don't have to install them. That would be the web and the cloud app. The difference between the web and the cloud app basically is whether they keep the data or not. The web app can be a web page here that would function like a software for you, okay, and the data can be stored onto your maybe mobile phone or computer. While the cloud app here will also keep the data alongside, so you don't have to worry about it. Just turn to the web page and everything's done there, and then you just save there. You don't have to worry about the hardware accessing it, because if this particular machine is faulty, you can get another one, and then you can get your job done pretty quickly. And you see that in the world right now, we see the cloud app and web apps are the trends, because people are getting more and more tired of installing things. Well, even though install program can sometimes be very attractive because of the complicated function it can provide, but it also it also be a bad point or a disadvantage, because you have to be tied up. You have to be tied up by the operating system or the hardware pieces that you're working on. Now, how about the forms of software that we see in the world? We have some forms here. We call that a variety of forms. Okay, if you need the software, you can use some money to buy it. So this is buyable from retail store. I want to buy an Office. I want to buy an Adobe, right? Software to mingle with my photo or with my video. So that's retail software. They are like some of the things that you buy in a supermarket. So you buy it, basically. It's very handy, very easy, all right? Just say you have money, you can buy it. So that would be a retail software, but it would not be customized in your own needs. You have to learn the software way in order to do your task, all right? That's retail software. How about custom? Custom also require a lot of money to make, actually. You can't buy the custom software anywhere in the world. You have to employ someone to study your workflow, your company, and then people will come and then make a software for you. Okay, that would be custom software. And sometimes you don't want to spend much money. Maybe you want to spend very little money. Okay, maybe I say this is $3, this is $2, and this is the least dollar you spend. Right? That's shareware. Shareware can, from time to time, be downloaded from the net or from the internet, and then you can install onto your computer as a native application. Alright. When we say it's a shareware, from time to time that would have some limit of use, alright, for maybe 3 months, and then you have to pay. Maybe some of the shareware allow you to do over 3 months or a period of time, and they would have a lot of advertisement pop up. Alright, that's shareware. So shareware basically used as a promotion for some company which is not very well known in software making, and that's why they want to make themselves much more popular amongst you. Some of the shareware, some of the software you can download on the internet with no cost at all, and then that would be called freeware. Alright, that's why I use a cross over it, freeware. Right. Freeware is very similar to shareware, except that it will not have an expiry date, so you can use as long as you wish. Right. All those software here that we just mentioned require some money to buy, and also they have very serious copyright issue here. All right. So you have to use it or you don't use it, but if you want to change the stuff inside there, you may be violating the copyright use of them, and people will kind of have some legal action against you. Alright, that would be retail, custom, and shareware and freeware. However, we have also some kind of software which is basically free. Alright, those two are also free. Most of the time they are free. Alright, they don't need to use money to buy. One more thing is they have a very loose copyright issue. Alright, their copyright is kind of loose. Alright, so loose. That's why I don't cross this. They have copyright, but they don't have a very strict control over the copyright. Okay, they are called open source. Open source means they open the program code for you. So if you know programming well, you can change the program code inside and make the one work for you the best. So that would be open source software. Example, a very classic example for that open source would be Linux. Alright, Linux is a very classic open source software. It's a system. It's also have a lot of application on Linux that would run. Alright, allow you to change. Okay, now that kind of open source software normally would be also be publicly accessible, and that's why they would be called public domain software. Alright, public domain software. Okay, very classic public domain software that you can download from would be GNU.org. Right, they keep a lot of the software written by amateur programmer, and then you can customize yourself. Right, they have very loose copyright here, and that would actually exist to promote, alright, the industry in the software field, and also to get people with some reputation of if they have very good computing skill. Alright, computing skill. Now, the first bunch of software that we take a look at today would be a productivity application. Productivity application actually assists you with your work, and that's why it's stressing effectiveness and efficiency. Effective or means you can produce a lot of things when you're working on that particular application. Efficiency means time. You can use very less time if you use that software. So if the software can allow you work fast and do a lot of things, that would definitely be called a productivity applications. Okay, and here is talking about something of your daily task. In our world, the daily task that we have to face in the world, we have writing needs, so that's why we have word processing. That's the basic, alright, that's the basic needs of our working. At times you need to draw, right? So that presentation here is to help you to draw something, right? Of course, you can say I use paint to draw, yeah, but you can also use presentation software to draw pretty easily because it's actually designed for that. That's why some people classify presentation software as a graphical tools. Okay, and then in our world we also have a calculation needs. That's why we have spreadsheet. Okay. And in our world, we also have a very strong saving down needs. All right, saving something down and you can take it out to use later. Now, if you save something down, it's okay, but you have to make sure you can get it out. That's important. If you save something down, you can never get it out of your saving. That would be lost forever means, all right? That would mean losing that forever. So saving actually imply that you can always take it back when you need it. Okay, database is actually guarantee you on that saving down and getting back, all right, 100%. So all those four here are the basic, right? Are the basic of productivity applications. And with these four fundamental needs of our daily work, they're born something much more complicated. With Word here, it's actually born sophisticated by note-taking, right? Note-taking. So note-taking is another form of Word, you can put it that way, but it added two things there, mainly. Is your handwriting. It's your handwriting recognition, your handwriting acceptance there, so you can write, all right, physically using an electronic pen there, and it recognizes it as well. All right, so this is a much more sophisticated word processing, you can put it that way. And some of the note-taking also allow you to record the sound. All right, maybe you attend a lecture and you write something down and you also record the lecturer all to go. So that would be note-taking. Okay. Now, if you have a planning need, so you will definitely turn to calendar and content management software. Those are actually born out of spreadsheet program. Spreadsheet originally is for calculation, but it's also very good at planning ahead, and that's why calendar, content management belong to that category. Sophisticated, you kind of complicate the spreadsheet program a little bit. You can basically do calendar and content management there with ease. And that's why some people customize a spreadsheet a little bit and produce calendar and content management software. The same apply for project management, which is actually also born out of spreadsheet. All right, and that's why you see in spreadsheet like Microsoft Excel, it has a lot of trade allowing you to do project management. Project management is about the resources, the time, all right, the people involved to do a task in the future. All right, so you are also planning something just like you're planning your itinerary in the calendar. All right, and that's why it's related to spreadsheet. And of course, for calculation, you will have accounting born out of it and finance born out of it because they are calculation intensive. Now for Word here, they also born out another type called legal. Legal is talking about some of the document which have a very strict format requirement. We call it format laden. Okay, you want to draft a contract, they always like that. An employment contract, all right, a leasing contract, all right, things like that, or suing people with a particular type of letters, a procedure, all right. So Word can provide a lot of those templates, allowing you to draft a contract or produce the related formal document quickly, and that's why we have legal software here. Now, spreadsheet is really kind of important, as you see here. Our world, okay, our world is filled up. Is actually filled up with our world is actually filled up with. Hang on. Our world is actually filled up with calculation. That's what I want to say, actually. Filled up with calculation, and that's why the calculation would also direct you to tax preparation. Now, tax preparation is not something popular in Hong Kong because we have a very simple tax system. But tax system all over the world, especially in the States, United States of America, they are very complicated. Filling in the tax income will be a headache for people, and that's why people will make software here and help them to do the calculation of the tax easier, all right, to fasten the process of filling the tax income. And that's why they have the tax preparation software. So it's a kind of it's a combination of calculation and also document preparation, and that's why it's joining in a certain extent some word processing features, right? Some word processing features, and also the spreadsheet features here. And if you have a lot of different documents together and you want to take it out and save it and just like a database, right? And then you will need document management software. So document management software is actually bearing the database system concept here of storing down something, right? It is of particular importance for legal firm that they may be saving a lot of contract of the clients and they have to take it out when needed. Okay, so if they have a document management software, that would be easier for them to handle all those kind of contract in document format. And from time to time, you got to find out later that document management software would also be called document conversion software, because when they are saving down the document which are retrievable later, they would convert it into the same format like the PDF. Support service software sometimes refer to the kind of software that have some word processing, presentation, spreadsheet, and database features. All right, and it's a kind of like a bundle. Right, or like a mixture, okay, like a mixture. That's a support service. They may have all kind of WPSD that we mentioned as the foundation, but with different proportion. That would be support service software. All right. Sometimes they would also add communication into it. Complicated that support service issue would have in the world that we call here enterprise computing, because in some company they have many departments, say HR, accounting, marketing, and each department have different web processing, presentation, spreadsheet, and database need. To adjust the right amount of WPSD here, we can customize the software and make the enterprise computing software that classify in that category. So as you can expect it, enterprise computing software normally will be customized. Among the software that you just seen earlier, from web processing to presentation to spreadsheet to database to note-taking to calendar to project management, accounting, personal finance, legal, text, document management, and even for support service, they can appear in a retail software format. All right. Of course, you can also find shareware or freeware or even open source for that, but mainly they would be retail, all right? But for enterprise computing software, most of the time they appear in the form of custom software. Now, because it's helping us to do a task for productivity application, they always, no matter what type they are at the front here, they always go through this process. They start the task as a project. That's why they say create project. That means they start a task, all right? One. And then the task started, that you work on the task, all right? Maybe you're writing something, calculating something, drawing something, or saving down something. That's the edit part, right? So they call it the edit project part. And once they're done with the job, they normally make it pretty, and that will be formatting part of the project. And once they make it pretty, they save it down, so the saving part. And once the project is done, they will let the people have it. All right, the concerned person will have those kind of document, all right, or the file. So that will be distribution. And that's why this is a very general production cycle, when we put it that way, with the productivity application that we use in the world. Web processing is the first type that we see in productivity software that help us to do the writing stuff, all right? So that's why you see the key is to create and manipulate documents. If you have that needs, you are on the right track turning to word processing software. It helps you to write. What kind of things can this write for you? Letter, memo, reports, all right? That's why in word processing software they have a lot of templates. We normally start from scratch, but in the real world, people, when they turn to word processing, they will always turn to their template. So when they have to write the memos, there will be already some format here. They just have to kind of erase the rubbish word inside and dump in their own. And then the writing process will speed up a lot. Our world is getting more and more standardized on the word processing, and that's why you see word processing software is a very important software that we use in our daily lives. And presentation software, on the other hand, is to help you draw a picture, and this is what we call visual aids. Because we want to get the idea communicating across with the others in a quicker, easier manner, Nothing is much better than using picture, video, audio things. So presentation software is actually a combination of those kind of visual tools. So we use them to stimulate people's eyes, to stimulate people's audio system ears. With these two organs stimulated among people, we supposedly will be able to get the idea, messages across, or information to people in a much more effective and efficient manner. And that's why we also spend quite a number of time, quite a huge amount of time, working on presentation software daily. And then we come to calculation. Whenever we return to our workplace and no one is mingling with us, we then have to do some calculation, because that's involve our analysis. So spreadsheet software is reflecting our analytical aspect of life. We need to do calculation because we want to analyze something. On analyze, we means we know what it is and we know the trend. All right, we know the trend, the insight out of it. So how can we do that? Calculations can help us. All right, that's why spreadsheets provide columns and rows for us to calculate. Not only that, spreadsheet allows you to plot all those calculations into shape, that means graph, so that you can much easier develop insight or trend out of your input data. Whether that's gonna be textual data, sometimes we also see that spreadsheet can somehow help you on that by counting. Database is another software that we'll turn to, all right, from time to time, because we need to save something down and get it out in an organized manner, so that we are sure that we can take it out. Okay, and that's why database, as we see here, is a collection of organized data. Why organized is important here? Because you want to take it out when you need it. Okay, and database software therefore allow different people to use it with different access right. Database is also a very important software blueprint operating system, right? That's why whenever you handle database, you will be finding yourself like handling an operating system, right? Because they have some similar features, right, sharing among them. Note-taking software, as mentioned to you earlier, is another form of Word, actually, but it's adding written comments, drawing, sketching into it. All right. Somehow, that note-taking software is very similar to presentation. All right, you may put it that way, but the main focus of that is not for you to present using your note-taking software, but to jot down all those things. Modern note-taking software includes sound recording, all right, sound recording, so that, okay, your note-taking would have much higher effectiveness. Calendar software is allowing you to plan ahead, okay, that's involved calculation. That's why we say this derived from spreadsheet program. It helps you to keep track on something. And also modern calendar and content management software needs you to get your idea planning and known to the others. That's why they have a sharing function reinforced into it, which may be in a spreadsheet program. This is not something a must. Before we talk about software speech, let's talk about project management software in this slide first. Project management is another way of planning. If calendar and content management is to manage your own self about the stuff, events that you see you have to do daily, project management software is also that kind of things, but it's managing for a company. So it's a company-based individual management. And that's why it also have the schedule, the track, the analysis of event resources, all right, function, right? So with your own planning for yourself, you seldom concern about the resources. But for company as a whole, that would be something essential, and that's why it added there. It concerned about the use of time. It concerned about the use of money. It concerned about the use of people as well, right? So it's a very complicated spreadsheet, in other words. With that put there, you basically very systematically taking a look at the tasks you have to do on him. Project management normally used for big group activities like building a house, right, or organizing an event. But can you use the project management software to manage your own daily life? I'm sure you can do it actually. All right. However, that will not be very convenient because you will be having a lot of things that you don't know how to quantify. All right. Some people, when they are very business-like, they really make use of project management software to manage their own life. But some people that would be thinking that is going too far. Right. It all depends on your way of seeing that. But this project management software and that calendar content management software basically share the same thinking of planning ahead, tracing it. Okay. And for project management, it also have a task of minimizing your resources used as well. As mentioned earlier, we have some support service as a type of productivity application, right? Software suite is one of them. Software suite actually happens selling in the 1990s, but is not anymore in the world. It's a mixture of some of the web processing, spreadsheet, presentation, and database function. They don't have the whole set of those functions in it, but they would have them in proportion. And they produce a combination, a blend, all right? A blend of software, and that's why I call it suite. So we say this is a collection of related applications. That related is actually talking about the word processing, spreadsheet, database, and presentation work, right? Because it's kind of mix things together, its focus or its image in people's minds is very blurred. And that's why in today's world, people rather turn to a Word for writing, spreadsheet for calculation, rather than a software suite, which is basically something that can do a lot of things, but it's not very clear of what it is really. And that's why, as time goes by, you see this particular software type disappear in the world. Accounting software is a natural consequence of spreadsheet, with focusing on financial transaction recording. Alright, that's why we have accounting application software. This kind of software is to handle calculation quickly by means of a very quick spreadsheet function add to it. Alright, it also adapts to the accounting system that humans develop. Alright, so when you use accounting software to do your financial statement making or to handle your money issue, that would be faster than using a spreadsheet because it's a lot of template already built inside. The same applies for your managing your finance. If accounting software is to manage the money transaction of a company, finance software would be a simple accounting. So it would be handling your transaction right individually. Okay, so these two are very similar in nature. It's also a natural consequences, you can put it that way, of spreadsheet. Okay, with finance software use, of course, you can keep track of your money use in a very organized manner, right? Legal software. Legal software is born, as said before, out of word processing. It provides you with a lot of templates, so you can prepare the legal document as said here. And also, you can provide some advice to you for some legal software. All right, it can also act as an expert system, like a chatbot. You ask them about, okay, am I breaking the law if I do it that way? Okay, it allows you to check all those kind of information. So it also can be considered as a word processing software, enhanced plus advisory system add-in. Okay. Spreadsheet, as said before, is very complicated, is very well known, right? In the world, because we have a lot of calculation involved from time to time. That's why we have tax prep. Tax prep is very complicated in Western world because of the complicated tax system. Alright. That's why some people will build a spreadsheet together with some format here, as you see, so that they can do the tax reporting quickly, alright, and also can do a lot of them at one time. Well, document saving is an issue. If you have a lot of documents, sometimes you're lost in those documents. A way to get them out, alright, with ease and with accuracy, is of particular needs, especially if you are running a legal firm. So document conversion software, all right, exists in the world, helping you to do the document and save it in an organized manner so that you can take it out. It will be easier. All right, letting them store in a common format is a way to get all the document, all right, take out with ease, and that's why document conversion software or document software always align format first. To sum up with all the things that we've seen, all right, if you want to customize your application needs for a company, this enterprise software will exist, or it will come out, and that would be tied to each department that you see here in a company. And then the mix of web processing, spreadsheet database, and also presentation will exist here, all right, and that's why it's a very customized software. And it's also allowed this kind of big company to use across the globe in a multinational level. All right. Now, that's all we have to say about this chapter, this week for application. All right, and we'll stop here. And next week, we'll carry on the learning to graphics, all right, security, and also system management. So we stop here for the time being. And thanks for your time watching it.